Friends and subscribers, this is China News for October 2013. News flash came out over all of China and the world this past week. 5 killed, 38 hurt as a Jeep rams through Tiananmen crowd. Basically, what has happened is there's been a terrorist event in the center of the Beijing power, Tiananmen Square, close to where the government resides. And it comes at a particularly sensitive time because this week the Communist Party has a social and economic policy hearing and meetings this week. So the timing is obvious to be what would be considered one of China's largest terrorist incidents, and right under the watchful eye of the world. There's speculation that there were 2 Xinjiang men that were in an SUV that were being watched before this incident happened, and in fact the SUV was operated by them. So repression in Xinjiang, repression in Tibet and other regions have perhaps caused this terrorist event in the center of Beijing. And you can be sure that there will be a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors and innuendos, and a lot of misleading comments by the government. But one thing is certain, there will be more incidents in the public eye like this going forward, as people are desperate for social reforms in the face of a government that has opened up policies for business, yet refuses to allow autonomous regions within the borders of China to govern themselves. Also this month, Bo Xilai, his trial comes to a conclusion and his appeal is thrown out by the court, which is of no surprise. This dog and pony show has gone on for many months, and it reads like a TV series. And Bo basically defiant as ever, and even has a grin on his face as he hears a verdict rejection of his appeal and the life sentence not to be lifted. Again, Bo Xilai was earmarked to be perhaps the leader of China. His faction, his group that he was with former president and many powerful people. He had risen to power and fame in Chongqing before being convicted of several crimes by the Xi Jinping faction. So this one-party system in China has many nuances to it, and there are actually many factions within the Communist Party, ruling party in China, for power. And this incident here just keys us into exactly how the lifestyle of the ruling class in China operates. And we'll perhaps see more crackdowns like this as we go along. Monks in Tibet disappointed that they are not able to practice both their spiritual religion and operate their small businesses the way they would like to, as Beijing cracks down, keeps a careful eye on Tibet in the wake of a major terrorist attack in China. And many monks say government policies are strangling their culture and identity. Now, this is usually not something that a foreigner should comment on, yet we see here on the front page of international and even some domestic publications talking about the plight of people in autonomous regions throughout China who are seeing a tremendous amount of wealth being funneled into the eastern portions of the country, and party bosses, government officials making vast fortunes, while these people, these working class people, are left with higher prices, stagnant wages, and no social progress. And this is coming to a head, and this whole decade I predict that we'll see a lot more of this. And this will be trying times for the Central Party as to being able to manage a nation that is opening up to new ideas, and how will they juggle the economic problems in China now and also the social problems that are rising up. It is not a challenge that is for the faint of heart. It's going to be a tremendous amount of challenge for the government to be able to manage 1.4 billion people, and they're changing belief systems. Playtime is over for this little piggy. Basically, what happened in Hong Kong last week was in Causeway Bay, in one of the most populated parts in Hong Kong, picturesque place with tourists and lots of businesses, and some of the biggest banks in the world are there. What happened? A wild boar got loose in the city. Now, where this wild boar came from, nobody really knows, but they finally caught this wild boar and caged it up. So, in the minds of Chinese, culturally, things like these are like an omen. And these omens tend to turn on a dime, and when something as comical as a wild boar loose in Hong Kong, when it happens, people attribute it to something else. Now, this can be attributed to Shanghai now opening and being a free trade zone. There's a lot of concern in Hong Kong about Shanghai taking away a lot of the tourist trade in Hong Kong, because if mainlanders can go to Shanghai to get their goods duty free and low taxes for a lot of high quality foreign products, why would they go to Hong Kong, which requires them to get papers and go across the border and travel by plane or train? It's a long way for a lot of people. Well, Shanghai has high-speed rail coming in. There is no border per se, and they can now go to the free trade zone and get the things that they want to get, including baby milk, healthcare supplies, and luxury goods with no tax. So, Hong Kong, how will the economy progress from here? One thing's for certain, Shanghai will definitely benefit from the free trade zone. And they also, of course, in Shanghai, as I've showed you before, making several technical parks, these industrial parks, which have some of the biggest companies in the world investing their capital in. 7.5 billion yuan. That's how much China Life, Ping An, income soars during the third quarter alone. Life insurance, auto insurance, home insurance, these type of products are something relatively new in China, and with 1.4 billion population, there's a potential there for insurance companies to make a bundle, and they are. More and more Chinese have money to spend on insurance, and they're being marketed successfully and being more educated on insurance and the policies that they can get to help protect them, especially with healthcare, being a crapshoot. So insurance companies, one of the growing trends in China, and very strong companies that may or may not be mismanaged. Not really sure about how they keep their books, but the business is there for the mainland. These are very trying times for foreign companies in China. You may think that the growth is endless for foreign companies such as Starbucks and GM and other companies such as Cisco, but recently with some policy changes, it's been more and more difficult to just come in and do business in China. 39% of the polled U.S. executives are optimistic about China in the next 5 years for growth. What does that tell us? Well, it tells us that there's over 60% that are not optimistic about China's future for foreign firms, because there's increased costs. Inflation is high here, and those labor costs are going to continue to go up. The government is making policy changes, especially when it comes to foreign experts' visas, which has not been good, and I can attribute to that, and I'll show you in videos coming up what the visa policies are. And increased competition from other companies, and mainland Chinese companies finally getting their stuff together, so to speak. Starbucks has a main rival, Pacific Coffee Company, which is a knockoff of Starbucks. They just paint everything red. But basically they're taking what Starbucks does best, and they're catering it to the Chinese customer, and it's a Chinese-owned company. So these type of obstacles are there for foreign companies coming into China. There are better opportunities for growth in other parts of Asia, but as long as the money keeps flowing here, as long as consumers want these Western products, there will be opportunities going forward. Mr. Snowden to get high-paying job. Well, looks like the luck is in Mr. Snowden's favor, because he leaves the United States, NSA contractor, goes abroad, uncertain future. Well, he gets his residence visa in Russia and now has a high-paying job. So his salary has not changed. His fame and notoriety have increased, and it's a win-win for Snowden. Now, will that be the case with all whistleblowers? I think not. I think that with policy changes and with increased sophistication of the government and powers that be to crack down on whistleblowers, all of these whistleblowers, their cases will not end as happily as Mr. Snowden's has so far. And the jury is still out on Snowden, by the way, as to exactly what he is and the information that he is retaining. And how will the West get back tit for tat against Snowden? The story has a lot more to it and will not end anytime soon. The cartoon of the month is as follows. One Chinese man, who are the Autobots and Decepticons? And his counterpart, we won't know until the nominating committee has selected them for 2017. And basically this is a pun on Chinese politics where basically you won't know exactly what something is until there's a committee and in hearings and the government puts their stamp of approval on it. So while everybody knows what it is, and they know very well what it is, until they're told what it is, they can't publicly confirm or deny something. And that is part of the comical part of Chinese life and politics that a lot of Westerners don't get. 2017 is a long way away to make such a decision on a trivial topic as these popular culture things. Tainted Wine. This story has a lot of interesting facets to it that I want to bring to your attention. Vineyards in France are favored investments for Chinese and Russian money launderers because they often do a lot of dirty money schemes, cash deals that are able to avoid the watchful eye of government and banking regulators. And basically what it just says that there's an awful lot of 4.4% of the developing world's total government revenue could perhaps be in these shady foreign investments to launder money. And hey, with the world economy slowing down to the speed that it has, and no relief in sight, so to speak, with rising debt and austerity and no job creation, this is where people are trying to make their money by laundering it and doing illegal deals. Dirty deals are a part of China's history and are not going to go anywhere anytime soon. As much as 20% of China's economy is black market or dirty deals, money under the table. And that allows foreigners to also do these dirty deals with China to launder money, sometimes on both sides, sometimes on one side. And a lot of companies that you might think are legit, you'd be surprised to know that they are now openly in the public eye for laundering money. Employees of these companies, large and small and medium-sized, have made comments to yours truly and others in the past about shady dealings, yet they're still able to operate freely and have in the public eye, for most people, a clean resume, so to speak. So maybe you'll see some more scandalous headlines in the future about companies and bribes and payoffs and things like that that help to propel the economies forward. It's sad to say, but that's where we're living today. The point where we need to have these illegal activities to get any kind of growth and job creation, and it's just leading to a whole worldwide educated now white collar thugs, and that's shifting from the old days where the thugs were always blue collar. They were always involved in mafia activities and things like that, the rackets, so to speak, and now it's legitimate. Hey, crime pays. Haven't you heard? Dormant accounts is in the news as well, not just in the West and in Europe, but in China also. They're talking about accounts of customers that either have a high balance or a very low balance. They call these accounts dormant accounts or accounts that have a high administration fee. This really gets me. This is really comical because, I mean, you deposit your money in a bank. Shouldn't they want your business? But no, that's not good enough anymore. They have too much debt. They're leveraging so much of what they do on derivatives and other insanely creative instruments for investment that now they have to go after the little guy and say, hey, putting your money with us and giving you like 1% is not good enough for us. Your $5 per ATM transaction, that's not good enough for us. We need more because we're mismanaging our money, your money, and in fact, we don't even have any money to begin with. It's just all a facade. And so there'll be a move more and more for people to go away from banking altogether in the traditional sense. Why would you put your money into something that doesn't give you any return and then actually dislikes you or persecutes you for having a dormant account with them? When it's your money, you're invested in that bank. They have your money to leverage, 8, 9, 10 times or more with these derivatives, sometimes 20, 30 times, and so on. So really, it's insanity. The truth is crazier than fiction sometimes for banks to say that depositing your money is just not good enough. And so the move to gold and silver obviously is one of the ways that you can get away from this. And there are several others I'll talk about later.